been searching for a reason, but my reason's left me for good. Tell me, where do I go from here? Boom, 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 boom. 'Cause I find my situation always leaves me really in doubt. Tell me, where do I go from here? Tell me, where do I go from here?
Jim!
George, how are you?
Not so bad, not so bad.
It's been a while. You've lost a bit of weight.
Oh. Sit down, sit down.
Thank you, George.
Oh, sorry, I was next for you. Yes, Philip rang me and told me you were in town. I believe you're staying with them.
It's pro tem, George, pro tem. I think they'd like me out, tell you the truth. Well, the fact is they've got a couple of kids and we're all a bit on top of each other.
Yes. What's the name of their eldest? Toby. He's a bit of a...
Horror.
Yes, he is, isn't he?
Still, well, you seem to be doing all right, George. Philip told me you publish all these magazines.
Yes, well, it's not quite what I'd hoped for. Thought by now I might be editor of the Times Literary Supplement, however.
Oh, you were always a journalistic whiz kid at university. What was that magazine you used to edit?
The Lampoon.
That's it. Brilliant. Caustic, incisive. Everyone used to wilt under your badinage.
Did they?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. We always saw you as a 60s satirist.
Oh, satire's dead, Jim. Since Beyond the Fringe and TW3, market's moved on.
Still, you've got a mini empire going here, haven't you, George? That's why I looked you up. I'm between commitments at the moment, so what I thought I'd do is stay in London and exercise my creative bent. It's been dormant far too long, George.
Has it?
Oh, yes, yes. Well, that's why I'm here, at your service. Have pen, will scribble.
The problem is, Jim, almost all of my publications are trade and tech. Like this one, Gavel. It's the magazine for auctioneers and estate agents. And then there's the magazine for electrical retailers, Current Affairs. Current Affairs.
Oh, current... Oh, very droll, George, very droll. Listen, why don't you give me a job making up magazine titles? I'm very good with words. I won the Junior Scrabble tournament at Butlins. Do you have a magazine for plumbers? I suggest Ballcock would be very apt. And what about the Journal of Undertakers and Embalmers? I've got a great one for that. Ask me, George. Go on, ask me.
All right, what?
Grave news.
Yes.
And do you have a magazine...
Jim, please. I am dreadfully behind at the moment.
Oh, sorry, Squire. Where were we?
Well, I suppose you could scribe something for the bean feast. Susan! That's my new one. Vegetarianism, that sort of thing. You should speak to Nigel. He edits it.
Yes, George?
Oh, Susan, bean feast. Nigel around?
No, George. Having lunch at the Angus Steakhouse.
Oh, well, never mind.
I gather Nigel does not practice what he preaches.
Very few of us can afford to, Jim.
Oh, well, in that case, I could fit in. Why don't you give me a regular column on the bean feast? I could dispense advice to strict vegetarians.
Sounds like one of those postcards in the newsagent's window downstairs. Man seeks strict vegetarian.
George, let me level with you. I'm desperate. You are looking at a man down to 0 assets.
I'd like to help you, old chum. I mean, of course I would, but...
Well, we go back a long way, old sport.
Yes.
At college, we were very close. Used to meet your tutor's wife in my rooms.
Yes. Well, lot of water's gone
Passed under the bridge. Yes, of course it has, George. Of course it has. My lips are sealed.
The thing is, Jim, I do have this rather obscure little magazine of the arts called Focus.
Oh, yes, I've heard of it.
No, you haven't. It's not on the bookstores. It's private subscription.
Does it come under a plain brown wrapper?
Certainly not. It just so happens I do need a couple of film reviews for it. Susan! I suppose there'd be very little harm in letting you take a crack at them.
Perfect. Jim Dixon, film critic.
Yes, George.
Ah, Susan, have you got that press invitation for the Academy?
Well, it is on your desk somewhere, George.
Japanese film, Samurai, won an award at Venice. Golden Stoat or something or other. It's for tomorrow, Jim.
Oh, my word. Admit to?
No, Jim, that's not on. Susan's far too distracting.
Yes. Yes, of course, George. And I want to do a damn good job. This will be a labour of love. How much?
500 words.
I had in mind my fee.
Yes, sorry, of course. Susan,
Yes, George.
how much money have we got in petty cash?
I shouldn't look if I were you, Lucy. It's pretty gory stuff.
Good places. You can always get a seat here. Not like all that King's Road hassle.
Yes, it seems very, reasonable. Egg Florentine, 6 shillings. Toad in the hole, 8 and 6.
Don't worry, love. Only want a coffee. Models are cheap dates.
Oh, are you sure? Oh. 2 coffees, please.
A black for me, love.
And I'll have a rum baba.
Did you enjoy the film?
Well, I enjoyed the occasion. Press pass, free gin and tonic. And that woman sitting in front of us in the pretty pink hat was none other than Dilys Powell of the Sunday Times.
Yeah, but what about the film? What are you going to say about it?
I'm not sure yet. I've scribbled down 1 or 2 cryptic phrases. I rather like the sound of this one. A dazzling exercise in tohoscope.
What?
Pohoscope. It's Japanese cinemascope.
I got lost early on. I couldn't understand who was fighting who.
No, I must confess I didn't follow all of the plot. Well, I couldn't see the subtitles because of Miss Powell's bloody pink hat.
Did I nod off for a bit?
About 2 hours, yes.
I'm a bit fragile today. I went to New Club last night off of St James.
Oh, really? I went to a new laundrette off the Kentish Town Road.
Jim, your life's not that desperate.
Well, I don't have a great deal to shout about, Lucy. Fate has thrust this lonely role upon me, the secret voyeur of swinging London. Part of me despises the whole charade, but another part, only a very small part, mind you, would like to sample its ridiculous delights, if only to give my contempt some credibility. Oh, thank you. Looks nice.
Lovely. At least now you're earning. You'll have some readies in your pocket.
Gee, not on what George is paying me.
How's the novel coming?
Novel? Well, it's now a play for television.
What's it about?
Well, when it's finished, it will be a savage expose of the times we live in.
How far have you got?
Not very far.
I bet you haven't written one word.
I've written a review of it. Listen to this. Quote. Mr. Dixon brilliantly captures the elusive energy and narcissism of the 60s without being seduced by his proximity to its source. In this extraordinary debut, we have the definitive expression of a shallow and irrelevant epoch. Unquote.
You'll never do anything if you just sit in your arse thinking about it.
It's not easy to break in, Lucy. I've only been here 2 weeks.
Tell you what, you should meet me friend Cosmos. You've heard of Cosmos, haven't you?
Yeah, he's the bloke that does the horoscopes in the TV Times.
No, you fool, Cosmos. Oh, he's an amazing character, always in the papers. He was arrested last month for doing a nude poetry recital at the Roundhouse.
Well, why should I meet him? I don't write nude poetry.
I thought you could have learned things from him. He was at Berkeley for 2 years. He knows that whole West Coast scene.
And what makes you think I don't know the whole West Coast scene? My godmother comes from Ilfracombe. Joanna, which do you prefer? This new Japanese masterpiece or this new masterpiece from Japan?
Oh, you finally decided it is a masterpiece, have you?
Well, I've been waiting for the Sunday reviews. They all say it is, so it must be.
But you're the critic, Jim. You've got a brain. What do you think?
I've no yardstick. What do I know about feudal Japan? Nothing. Are they all wearing the right breastplates or the wrong boots? Are they all talking in Yokohama accents? I don't know.
But there are other things. The photography.
Luminous, the observer.
The narrative flow.
Fragmented, the telegraph.
Are you just stealing bits from other people's reviews? That's plagiarism.
Well, I think of it more in terms of a critical collage.
How much is George Bowles paying you for this?
Not a lot, but at least I'll be able to chip in towards the housekeeping.
Oh, Jim. You know you're welcome here. It's just that I may need the bed when my sister visits.
No problem. I'll sleep underneath. She'll just think I'm a little potty.
Oh, Philip, how many times have I asked you not to come through the front door with muddy Wellingtons?
The baby is asleep and Toby is playing with his Lego.
Where did you take them?
Parliament Hill Fields.
Philip, you must be freezing. Let me take those.
No, I'll do that. Okay.
Well, let me get you some coffee.
How's the review coming?
Not very well. I don't think criticism is my métier. I should be one of those showbiz columnists like Roderick Mann or Donald Zeck. A friend to the stars. Yesterday, I talked with sultry screen goddess Ursula Andress. She greeted me only a simple white kimono concealing that body which has thrilled the world from Ilfracombe to the Orient. Over lunch, she told me how much it meant to her to be working under the famous Japanese director Kurosawa. With you under him, it must mean a lot to the nip, I quipped.
Who's Ursula Andress?
No, darling, she's that gorgeous girl that came out of the sea with a dagger in Dr. No.
Oh, yes. Jolly attractive woman.
Here we are, Philip. 2 sugars as per.
Look, there's something in briefing about Cosmos. Didn't you mention the other night that your friend Lucy knew him?
I only mentioned I didn't want to meet him. Why?
Well, apparently he's going to rent a disused bus depot in Peckham, fill it full of jelly, and plunge into it the entire Kikuyu National Dance Company.
Who is this?
Oh, you know, darling, Cosmos, the would-be Andy Warhol.
Who's Andy Warhol?
He's that peculiar American who paints soup tins.
I sometimes wonder whether I'm getting out of touch.
You are. That's one of the dangers of academia. You get cocooned in Racine and Schiller, and the real world passes you by. That's one of the good things about me being here, actually. I go off on my exploratory forays into the frivolous fringes of London society and come back here and tell you all about it.
How long are you going to be here, Jim? Only, as Joanna probably mentioned, I may need the bed for my brother.
Sister, Philip.
I haven't got a sister, darling.
No, my sister, Philip. We might need Jim's bed for my sister.
Look, I'm already hunting around for bedsits. I'll be off as soon as my godmother's postal order arrives from Ilfracombe.
You sound like Billy Bunter.
Well, I know who he is.
George, Jim Dixon.
Hello, Jim, old chum. How are you?
Fine, George, fine.
Sit down, sit down.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Jim, I think. Let me move those for you. Well, what can we do for you?
I finished my review, George.
Your what?
My review. Remember, you asked me to do it for you.
Did I? Oh, yes. Did you enjoy the book?
What book?
Book you reviewed.
I haven't reviewed a book.
You haven't? You had enough time, you know. You've got to work quickly if you want to be a book critic. I mean, Philip Toynbee can read War and Peace in the Black Hour between Songs of Praise and Danger Man.
I went to see a film.
Instead of doing your book review.
Oh, for God's sake, George, you asked me to do a movie review. That Japanese piece at the Academy. Here, listen to this. This dazzling exercise in Toho scope is reminiscent of an early Kurosawa.
What's this for again?
Your new exciting magazine of the contemporary arts. Focus.
Oh, dear.
What do you mean? Oh, dear.
Not enough space. A question of column inches, Jim. You see, I managed to get Al Alvarez to do a piece on Bob Dylan's lyrics as poetry, and it
went on a bit.
Well, one hesitates to trim an Alvarez.
Yeah, but one doesn't hesitate to spike a Dixon, huh?
Sorry, Jim.
So that will never reach the printed page. It's lost to posterity.
Afraid so.
But I went to some expense, George. The bus fares, the new typewriter ribbon. And that film was 3 hours long. That's 4 drinks on a stick and a bag of cashew nuts.
Yes, I'm sure it is, James.
Then there was the time spent writing the review. How do you equate an artist's time?
Oh, about 8 and 6 an hour. Bit more than a window cleaner, but less than a plumber.
Time is precious to me, George. I could have done so many better things than sit there watching 3 hours of Nipponese nonsense.
Just this week, old lad. Things will be different.
For a man who lives hand to mouth, it's this week that concerns me.
Look, one of the reasons I did the Dylan piece was that I wanted to give Focus a more switched-on, progressive format.
Oh. Well, look, why don't I do a piece on the contribution to Western civilization by Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick and Titch?
George, Christopher Booker's just rung. He's been refused that interview.
Oh, no. I thought if anyone could get in there, he could. Thank you, Susan.
What's this?
Thinking of doing a profile on this chap. He's a sort of guru to the underground.
Let me guess. He's an Indian ticket collector on the Bakerloo line.
This isn't funny, Jim. It's the sort of thing that could give Focus a real boost circulation-wise.
Who is he?
Oh, it's a chap called Cosmos.
Cosmos? I've got an in to Cosmos.
You have? How?
Never mind how. How much?
Oh, well, I mean, that's very difficult to assess, Jim. I mean, what have you got in mind?
2 weeks advance rent on a bedsit?
Done.
Chelsea Ken, George. Not Tooting Beck.
Denzel. What? Bring me my nail jar, will you? Right. Enter. Hi, Lucy, you skinny cow. How are you, man?
Julia.
How's your scene been, you know?
Oh, it's been working mostly. What have you been up to?
Oh, everything really, you know, very original. Everything, beautiful projects, you know. That's when Julia lets me, like most women, she can hardly keep her hands off me most of the time. Hey, turn that off, will you?
My immediate and perhaps unreasonable impression of this man is to loathe him almost as much as Engelbert Humperdinck.
This is Jim Dixon, the writer I told you about.
Reitel, yeah? He looks more like someone selling life insurance.
Move over, Engelbert. How you doing, Mr. Cosmos?
What's with the Mr.? It's just Cosmos.
Oh, I see.
Period.
Like Semprini. Semprini, the pianist. Old ones, loved ones, new ones, neglected ones. My mother adores him.
Jim writes all sorts of stuff. He's just done a crit on the Japanese classic at the Academy.
Yeah? What'd you think of that, then?
Well, I thought it was, masterly. I thought it was, a dazzling exercise in Toho scope. Very reminiscent of an early Kurosawa.
Listen, I'll tell you, Kurosawa is garbage, man. The only person that's got anything to say is Godard, and he hasn't said anything since Breathless. What was the last movie you really grooved on?
Well, if you must know, it was Burt Lancaster in The Crimson Pirate.
Oh.
Crimson Pirate? Oh, yeah. Knockout. Burt Lancaster, Eva Bartok.
I thought it was Virginia Mayo.
Oh, God.
Denzel, this is Jim Dixon. He's come to do a piece on Cosmos.
Far out.
Little way, Denzel.
Oh, here's your nail jar.
Oh, yeah, too much. Hey, yo.
You don't collect those, do you?
He uses them in his paintings.
Gives a sort of texture. There's one over there.
Anyway, so, what do you want me to tell you? I mean, my time is very precious, man, you know.
Yes, yes, I'm sure it is, a man of your many talents. I think what the readers of Focus would like to know is, what's next on the agenda?
Oh, yeah, well, I've just finished a paper on auto-destructive activity as a means of releasing repression.
Just a minute. I brought my pencil. Oh, thank you. As a means of relieving... what exactly does that mean?
It means you feel better if you break something.
Oh, I see. Presumably something of someone else's. I mean, I don't think one feels better for breaking something of one's own, does one? I mean, I just broke my pencil. Did nothing for me.
I'm talking about heavy-duty destruction. Consumer goods, cars, refrigerators.
But other people's?
Anybody's. I've rejected the importance that people put on personal possessions.
Oh, I see.
You see, violence is underneath the surface of us all. Civilization is merely the containment of violence. Through violence, we can release the pressure and the paranoia. Now, if you come and see my Psychedelia 67 exhibition,
yes, now, I wanted to get on to that. Now, this is the Kikuyu Dance Company wading in jelly in Peckham, is it not?
Oh, you heard about that, yeah?
Hasn't everybody?
Yeah, well, unhappily, the Home Office have refused the Kikuyu's entry permits.
Oh, man.
Dreadly, man.
Yeah. Have you considered the Dagenham Girl Pipers? Or the Mormon Tabernacle Choir?
Are you putting me on?
No, not at all. I'm just trying to get into the spirit of things. Can I ask you about the jelly?
What about the jelly?
What flavour will it be?
Who gives a flying fart what flavour?
anybody that spends all night rolling around in it. Personally, I prefer blancmange.
Lucy, why did you bring this draggy person to see me? I mean, just look at it sitting there in its grey flannel, 22-inch bottom trousers like some archetype of semi-detached suburbia.
What are you trying to do, Jim? I set this up and all you do is take the mick.
What? Did I give offence? Sorry. I'm just trying to be incisive. I'm trying to probe the legitimacy of your friend here. You see, I've planned my heading. Cosmos, artist or entrepreneur?
Well, of course he's an artist. Everything in this room is by Cosmos. He's just had a one-man exhibition at the Turtle Gallery.
What, you mean one man attended?
Yeah. Dixon, critic or comic. Yeah.
Quite funny, though, you must admit.
Shake your face, Denzel, or you'll go back to being an art school janitor, man.
I detect a bit of aggression building up there, Mr. Cosmos. Time to break something. Here, I suggest this meaningless mechanical monstrosity here. Whoops.
What? I've just turned down 1,100 guineas for that, man.
God, then you're a fool as well as a charlatan.
Jim, you're being bloody rude.
No, I'm sorry, Lucy. I have classified mankind in two types. People I like, which includes you, and people I don't. And at the top of that list, a new contender, but way ahead of the field, is Mr. Compost.
I'm gonna break your head, man. Stop.
Wow! It's a-happening!
Destroyed.
Feel better?
Explosive stuff, Jim. Certainly a bit of a scoop for Focus, eh? Of course, it may not please Cosmos's fans, but you've certainly struck a blow for his detractors.
Several, in fact.
Is the eye still painful?
Only when I wink.
Yes, well, you seem to have a flair for this kind of thing.
Yes. I think fate has found a role for me to play. What London needs today is someone like me, some solitary scribe whose vision has not yet been impaired by the combined effects of pop art, pop culture, pop music, and LSD.
You may be right, Jim.
Yeah. Talking of LSD, George, isn't it about time you coughed some up? I found a bed sit and I need the advance.
Oh, certainly, Jim. Susan, could you write Jim a cheque?
Oh, I don't think that would be, advisable.
Oh, don't you?
No.
Will you take cash, Jim?
Instantly. Yes, now, I see this as one of a series, a bit like the Maureen Cleave interview, but much more savage. We take certain contemporary figures and Dixon deflates them. Twiggy, Simon D, David Frost, Cathy McGowan, LBJ.
Yes, well, we'll see, shall we? Yes. Right. Still, in the meantime, back to the film crits.
Huh? Oh, right. There's a new James Bond on at the Pavilion.
No, this one at the gala.
It's an Indian film.
Masterpiece, apparently. Won the Silver Ferret or something at San Sebastian.
I don't have to see it, George. Susan, take this down.
Oh, yes, Jim.
This dazzling exercise in narrowscope